everybody, welcome back. My name is Rebecca. This is Crafting and Crime Daily, a show that is designed so that you have something to listen to while you craft. You could be diamond painting, crocheting, watercolor painting, cross stitch, whatever you're into, and you want to sit and listen to some true crime while you do that. This is the show. Now, I cover live trials. There's not one going on right now, unfortunately. But I have some true crime stuff to bring you up to. These are two cases that are coming up for trial in the future. 2 cases, 3 trials. I'll tell you why that is. First one is the case of Timothy and Tracy Ferriter. The next one is the case of Ruby, what's her last name? Frankie, Ruby Frankie. She's a famous YouTuber. What do these two have in common? If you know, put the comment below. I always read the comments. But first, I want to show you what I was working on over the weekend, because I'm a crafter too, of course. Look. Oh, I also want to mention, this is available as a podcast on YouTube Music, so you can listen while you're driving around. Yeah. Running errands. Look. Isn't he cute? Halloween now. So it's a little jack-o'-lantern in his hat that I got to finish up on. So this corner, it'll go fast because I'm on the decrease. And I went to the doorbuster sale at Joann's yesterday. Raise your hand if you went to a Labor Day sale. Isn't that what you're supposed to do on Labor Day? Not work, go to the sales, right? My dog said, yeah, right. Who else can I get talked to? Okay, I'm going to tell you about Ruby Frankie first, because we know the least about that. But she had a YouTube channel called 8 Passengers with her husband, Kevin. This was a family vlogging channel where you could just tune in and see funny videos about their lives. But the subscribers were starting to catch these fine details about how she disciplined those children. And some of them actually reported her, but nothing ever came of it. So on August 30th of 2023, last week, just last week, one of the children are Sherry, Chad, Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve. Now, Sherry and Chad, I don't think are minors anymore. Chad, I think, lives with Dad because Kevin is not in the picture anymore. Maybe that's why they don't do any more videos. This channel had about 2.5 million subscribers. She was making good money doing this vlogging. But instead, she decided not to do any more videos on her channel. She decided to go into business with this other woman up in Utah in a business called Connections, which is some kind of parenting program for people with difficult children, something like that. They had their own YouTube channel. Now, don't go look for those channels. Stop right there. YouTube has removed both channels, saying, even though everyone is innocent until proven guilty, YouTube has removed those channels as violating their high standards policy. Okay, so don't look for the channel. Now, if you save some of those videos, one of the children is collecting those videos as evidence against mom. So what happened on August 30th? The 12-year-old, and I don't know which one that is, 12-year-old climbs out the window of the business partner's home, where she is being held against her will, crawls out the window, goes to a neighbor's house and asks for food and water. So the neighbor gives her food and water. She described the child as, or the neighbor, I don't know if it was he or she, describes the child as being emaciated. So CPS was called, the police were called, they all get involved, and they go over to this home, the business partner's home, and there's another one of the children there, also same condition, malnourished, needing food and water. Here's the kicker though, they both had duct tape around their ankles, and that's as much as we know about the abuse. Now, this was not Ruby's home. Ruby's home had lived somewhere else. She had 2 of her children, and this business partner had the other 2 children that she was disciplining. I don't know for what. I don't know what the story is behind that. Like I said, it's just happened last Thursday, but it is all over YouTube. The 12-year-old and the 10-year-old, all of the children have been removed from Ruby's custody and are in the custody of the state. Ruby is being held without bond pending these charges. This is in Utah, so more to come on that as this story evolves. Apparently, like I said, some of the subscribers had caught on in the past when she talked about disciplining her children, you know, that it was kind of odd and they felt uncomfortable, and they actually reported it to CPS and nothing ever came of it. Ruby has 3 sisters that also reported some behaviors to CPS and nothing ever came of that either. The 3 sisters for Ruby wrote on their Instagram, "For the last 3 years, we have kept quiet on the subject of our sister Ruby Frankie for the sake of her children. Behind the public scene, we have done everything we could to try and make sure the kids are safe. We wouldn't feel right about moving forward with regular content without addressing the most recent events. Once we do, we will not be commenting on it further. Ruby was arrested, which needed to happen. Jody, which is the business partner, was arrested, which needed to happen. The kids are now safe, which is the #1 priority." So finally, something has come, and Ruby's going to have to answer for her discipline of her children. The next case, very interesting case, out of Palm Beach, Florida. Don't we love Florida? The gift that keeps on giving. Palm Beach, you know, where Donald Trump is from. Tracy and Timothy Ferriter lived in Jupiter, which is, it's a ways away from where the mansion, the Trump mansion is. Jupiter's a beautiful, beautiful area. They lived in a place called Egret Landings. They had just moved in late 2022, like November or December of 2022, to this neighborhood. Now, they had been living up in Arizona for 4 years. Prior to living in Arizona for 4 years, they had lived in this exact same neighborhood, Egret Landing, just a few blocks, yeah, like a block away. They moved up to Arizona, and now they were back. So this contractor, he calls the police, and his name is Jack, and he's saying, you know, I don't know what this is all about, but I need to tell you that this Timothy Ferriter hired me to build an 8x8 box in his garage. It was a 3-car garage. This is a $750,000 home in Jupiter. Well, I say that like it's a mansion. In Florida, $750,000 is probably like your average home. It's so expensive to live in Florida. But nonetheless, 3-car garage. So one of the spaces was where they put this box. The specifications were that it had to have a ceiling, that they had to be a hole cut in it so he could run a camera into the office, so he put a Ring camera in there, Timothy did, so that he could monitor what was going on in this office 24/7. There had to be a doorknob that only worked from the outside, a light switch that only worked from the outside. It had to have air conditioning, had to have electricity. And this was going to be for an office. So this contractor thought, I don't know. Timothy gave him $3,000 to build it and told him, you got 2 days. So he builds it, but then he reports it, but nothing ever comes of it. So on January 30th of 2023, police are called by Tracy Ferriter to report her 14-year-old son missing. Now there's 4 children in this house, 2 daughters that are 13 and 16, a 2-year-old son, and then this 14-year-old who was adopted from Vietnam. And he was adopted when he was a baby. They've had him since he was a very, very young child. So she calls the 2 officers respond to her house, and she is reporting her 14-year-old son has run away. So they take all of the information, and she's not letting the officers in her home. And they're like, well, you know, it's just kind of routine. We like to check the house. And she's like, no, you don't need to check the house. He's not in there. Because sometimes kids will hide. And you know how kids are. You know, they play pranks and stuff. And so the officers wanted to look for him. But she's like, no. So they returned later on that night. She would not let them in the home. So they go back. They look for they're looking for the boy. They go back to the home that evening, and she still says, "No, you can't come in." Or she lets them in. She does let them in, but doesn't let them in the garage. They want to know, where's this boy's room? So she points to the toddler's room and says he sleeps in there. And it's to see this room, it's all toddler stuff. There's nothing that screams, here's a 14-year-old boy. So they said, well, where is his room? So finally the mom takes the cops out to the garage, and she said, this is a makeshift office that we have here. And the officers look at this office. Inside is a mattress, an orange Home Depot bucket for him to, the 14-year-old, to do his business in. I don't know if there was a desk in there. There was a Ring camera monitoring everything that 14-year-old did. So Child Protective Services called. Those children are removed from the home. The parents are arrested for aggravated child abuse and false imprisonment. Yeah, I had to think of it. The word just wasn't popping into my head. So she described this office as, oh, this is just where my 14-year-old keeps his belongings. It's an office. And they were not buying it. No. So 3 days later, they actually find the child. They sent a drone up over the middle school where he goes to school, and they found him on that property. They take him into protective custody, and that's when they learn a whole lot more than we know. So the boy has been removed. The other children have been removed from the home. The parents have been arrested. They were both given $50,000 bonds. Their attorney at the time, Nellie King, she issued a statement on their behalf saying that this boy had reactive disorder, that it's very, very rare condition that sometimes adoptive children have. Is that what it's called, reactive disorder? I might be getting that wrong. It's where a detachment disorder, maybe that's it, detachment disorder. Don't quote me. This is just a fun show. Detachment disorder, this is where they can't bond with the parents, and they have violence towards their siblings and their parents, and the parents were putting him in the box as part of his, keeping the other children protected from this child. And the child said he would stay in that box sometimes up to 18 hours at a time, that they would feed him scraps from whatever they had for dinner, that he would be disciplined with a leather belt and a rope. Now, I don't know if any of this has been substantiated, because Nellie King is no longer Timothy and Tracy's attorneys. Timothy and Tracy fired Nellie. Nellie is now suing them for attorney's fees that they owe her. Here's a statement that was issued by the Ferriters attorney, Nellie King. She wrote, "The false narrative created by this overzealous detective will be fully exposed at trial. Had a credible investigation been conducted, Detective Sharp would know about the dangerous and escalating behaviors of this adolescent and the threat he posed to family and classmates. He would know the young man had been diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder, a circumstance tracing back to his adoption out of Vietnam. He would know the child came to Ferriters having been fed a diet of sugar water, covered in scabies, and up to that point lacking basic human contact, much less love. He would know reactive attachment disorder is commonly diagnosed among children adopted from impoverished foreign countries. He would know there are many more families out there like the Ferriters who have been terrorized by their children they love, desperate to protect their families." Signed, Nellie King. Like I said, she is no longer their attorney. Also, I needed to mention that this box was disassembled within weeks after Timothy Ferriters' arrest. He paid to have it disassembled. Taken apart, it no longer exists. They each now have separate attorneys, which is probably what they should have done to begin with. And during a hearing last week, the judge, upon motion of the defense and agreement by the prosecution, they are separating the trials. So Tracy will have a trial and Timothy will have a trial. So the judge says, well, which one do you want to do first? And the prosecution said, we want to try Timothy first. So when they searched that home, they found thousands of videotapes. He was being videotaped in that box. So everything, all their evidence is on video. The beatings, the food, that he would have to defecate into a bucket, and then Dad would come get him in the morning and he'd have to clean it up, and just two very, very sad, horrible cases that we are following. Now, none of these three cases have been set for trial. Like I said, 3 different trials, 2 different cases. So I will keep you posted on both of those cases. My suspicion after listening to the Ferriter hearing last week is that this 14-year-old boy is now hospitalized. And not like a hospital, but like psychiatric, like he's receiving help. Because even if he didn't have detachment disorder, he's been through a lot of trauma staying in that box. So, and the other kids having to watch him in the box, the trauma all around. Yeah, really, really, really sad. All right, so those are the 2 stories. Now I'm going to show you what you're waiting for, the sale. Yes, Joann's. Let's get to it, shall we? So, one of the things I want to do next year, oh my goodness, it's falling all over the floor. Hold on. I want to do another graph gan, but it's going to be one piece, and it's going to be floral. And so, look, first of all, I bought a bag. I make things. This is why I bought the bag, because you already know. I had a coupon, right? The coupon said, if you spend $50, you get $10 off. Well, I was at $49, so I bought a bag. Okay. So I found this yarn to be the background of the blanket. It's just Big Twist, but Big Twist was on sale. And it's a really soft, it's their brand of yarn, Joann's brand. But it's much softer, I think, than Red Heart. And this is called Twinkle, so you can't even see it. It's white, but it has like this silver metallic in it that I think will make a really, really cool background for this floral blanket. Then you know what the next color is, right? Do you even have to guess? Yes. I had to pick up a pink skein. I want to make some of the flower, whatever color they say, I'm going to replace it with this pink, also Twinkle. And it's 97% acrylic, 3% metallic fibers. So this has got this dark pink metallic ribbon running through it. Oh my God, so beautiful. Yeah, just one skein, yes. Then I saw this and I was like, oh, took my breath away. Bag O' Day Crochet, which I love her tutorials on YouTube. Bag O' Day Crochet. She did a review on this yarn and she was really, really impressed with it. She used it, she washed it, she loved it. This is called Karen Cake's Colorama Halo. Do you see the halo on this yarn? It is gorgeous ombre yarn. It is stunning. Now, what am I going to do with it? No idea. I just had to have it. I'm going to make my sister something with it. I'm thinking like a hooded scarf or something, because it's 500 and... where is it? It's a 5 bulky. It's really, when Bag O' Day reviewed it, she said it's more like a heavy 4, but they make it a 5 because of the halo that's on it. And it is 481 yards. But once she washed it, it had even more of a beautiful halo on it. Yeah. Oh, come on. What other color did I get? What? Come on, you can guess. Yep. Pink. They call this one, they have one that's a little bit more pinker. This is more maroonish. But isn't that gorgeous? Look at that halo on that. So this one is called, well, this one, it's 71% acrylic, 18% nylon, 11% polyester. This one's called Orchid Forest. And this one is called, I'm not even going to tell you what they cost. Forget it. Harbor Frost. Harbor Frost. Isn't this gorgeous? Oh my God. So according to Bag a Day, it feels good against your skin. So something for my sister, something for me. Yeah, beautiful. That was it. I didn't go crazy. Well, I did have to buy some floss. Remember that one pattern? I'm making this cat pattern cross stitch, and I'm missing one skein of floss. And I thought when I bought that big haul over from the place that went out of business, you know, $200 worth of floss, that the missing floss skein would be in there. Of course not. No, it wasn't. So I had to purchase that. And luckily, this time Joann had it. Because I had already bought the thread that I needed for that months ago, and I just kept meaning to go back and get the floss that I needed. I finally got it. And then it was just this pleasant trip to Joann's. You know, it's, who doesn't love a trip to the craft store? Oh my gosh, yeah. So I gotta be gone, guys. I gotta go to the post office. Got errands to run. This is the last day with a car. Help. All right. I will see you guys in the next video. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye.